So I'm going to start off talking just a little bit about notes on the piano, just to make sure you have a fundamental understanding of notes. If you've been classically trained, you probably know all this. This is an A, B, C, D, E, F, G. That's all the notes on a piano. So this is an A here, and here, and here, and here. These are called being octaves apart. That's one octave. If you play a scale, it's easy to remember the key of C, because C is all white notes. So a C scale is, this is a half step, that's a whole step. Half step, sorry, from here to here is a half step, from here to here is a whole step. So a C scale is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. And that's true in every single key across the piano. So a C scale looks like that. That's a C major scale. I'm not even going to talk about minor scales. But one of the things I think is really interesting about the piano is if you start on a C and you go up to the fifth of a C, that puts you at a G because it's 5 up away from there. Now you have one sharp. So in the key of G, you have one sharp. If you go up another fifth, you're on D. Now you have 2 sharps. If you go up another fifth, you're on A. Now you have 3 sharps. If you go from C and you go down to an F, now you have 1 flat. Now if you go down a fifth, you're actually down to a B flat. So that's the 5th low from an F. Now you have 2 flats. Now if you go down again, you're on an E flat. Whoops. Missed that. So that's called the circle of fifths. The thing that I would remember is if you're playing something in the key of C, if it's all white, if you're playing in the key of C, it's all going to be white notes most of the time. So if it says C on the chord sheet, you're going to be playing a C, all white notes. If it says D, it's probably going to be a D minor because those are all white notes. If it says E, it's probably going to be an E minor because those are all white notes. If it says F, it's going to be these 3. If it says G, it's going to be a G major because that's these notes. If it says A, that's going to be an A minor because it's these notes. If it says B, which you're not going to see, it would be these, which is a B minor, and then back up to a C. And all I'm trying to say is once you know what key signature something is in, it's relatively easy to know which notes you're hitting. So for instance, if you're in the key of G and you see a D with whatever behind it, you just know it's going to be these, because to throw an F natural into a song that's in the key of G would be really weird. So hopefully that helps. Okay, so I'm trying to start talking a little bit about what chords look like and how to play with chords. So let me say, starting with the key of C, if you see a song in the key of C, the 3 most popular chords are going to be a C, an F, and a G, because the C is the main chord, and then the F is up a 4th, and a G is up a 5th. So if you're in the key of C, it would be 1, 3, 5. So C, E, and G. Those are the notes that your right hand would play in the key of C. Your left hand typically would either just play the C like this, a 1 and a 5, your pinky and your thumb, or maybe a 1, 5, 1. So you could do that. And then an F would be these 1, 3, 5 off the F. So in that case, it'd be an F, A, and a C. And then if you went to a G, that would be this 1, 3, 5 off the G, and then back down to an F. I'm just playing a C, F, G. I'm just playing a C, F, G, F, C, F, G. That'd be a real popular thing to see in music that's written in the key of C. By the way, this is a C, but this is also a C. This is a C. This is a C, this is a C, so all of these are C's. They're just inversions because you're taking this C and throwing it up here, or you're taking this E and you're throwing it up here. So these are all C's. When I play a C chord, okay, so let's just say in the key of C, if you want to play, for instance, Louie Louie, it would be 1. So this is just C, F, G, F, C. So this is pretty typical rock. Now, actually, the song Louie Louie plays a C and then an F, and then usually a G minor. So you take that down, and that gives it kind of an unsettled feeling. So that's the real Louie Louie riff. And when you play a song in the key of C, if you wanted to transpose it, you could do it, for instance, in the key of, let's say, G. Now we're in G. If the G is the 1 chord, then now the C becomes a 4 chord because it's 4 up. And then the D would become the 5th chord. So another Louie Louie riff would be G, C, D, F, C, G, C, D. And there I'm playing a D major. Here comes a D minor. You can hear the difference. The only 2 other thoughts I would have about chords are, when you play chords, sometimes you'll see it written as a C. If you see a C, that's a C major. If you see a C with a little M behind it, then that would be a C minor. So you just take the 3rd and knock it down a half. So this is a C major. That's a C minor. In the key of A, that's an A major. That's an A minor. If you listen, you can hear the difference. A majors tend to have kind of a happy sound. A minor tends to have kind of a sad sound. That's how some people think about it. 2 more things. If you see a note that has a SUS behind it, that's called sustained. This is a C. A C sus, you take this 3rd and you just move it up 1/2 step. So that's what it sounds like. That's a C sus. Again, my left hand is playing 1 and 5. My right hand is playing a 1-4-1 or 1-4-5. That's a C sus. Sus has a very unfinished sound. You want to go down to the major. You can hear that. So that's a C sus rolling into a C. And then my only other comment would be, a lot of times when I'm playing a chord, I will thicken it up a little bit by playing the 2nd as well. So if I was playing a C, I could play a C like this, but I could also throw that 2nd in and it makes it sound a little more full. So if you were going to play, another thing you could do with your left hand is a 1-5-3 if you've got big hands, or a 1-5-1 if you have smaller hands. So here's a C to an F to a G Okay, so that's kind of the basics about playing chords. I do recommend trying all kinds of chords and just messing around. A lot of times my right hand keeps the beat and my left hand is only playing on the 1. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So my right hand is playing on every beat, and my left hand may only play at the beginning. Beat 1. Etc. Okay, I'm going to pause for a minute and I'm going to find some music and we'll try and actually do a song.